here at what's called a house on the Horseshoe, or a house in the Horseshoe. It's a Revolutionary War skirmish site, and it's been around since 1772, I believe, is when they started this. We're going to go in and take a look at it and investigate a little bit of American as well as North Carolina history. Come along, if you will. The house in the Horseshoe is located in the North Carolina Piedmont, in a rural area of Moore County. It is one of 27 state of North Carolina historic sites. The site gets its name because it's located on a horseshoe bend of the Deep River. The plaque reads, "House in the Horseshoe. Here occurred the skirmish between the band of patriots under Colonel Philip Alston and the Tories under Fanning on July 29, 1781. The tree line across the field is the Carbonton Road, and a quarter mile beyond is the Deep River, which empties into the Cape Fear River, which will carry you down to the Carolina coast and to the Atlantic Ocean. As I mentioned, the home was built atop this rise in 1772, which makes it more than 250 years old. You're looking at the back side of this grand house, as it was built with the front facing south toward the river, which is how most people arrived here in the 18th century. The place was one of the very first large houses in the North Carolina backcountry, and was built by Mr. Philip Alston when North Carolina was still a colony of England. Fast forward 9 years to 29 July, 1781. The Revolutionary War was in its 6th year, as the American colonies fought for their independence from England. Alston, now a lieutenant colonel in the Patriot North Carolina militia, was here, along with a band of about 20 soldiers who were camped on the premises. Unbeknownst to Alston and his militia, a group of about 45 loyalists, under the command of Lieutenant David Fanning, were moving against the home from the southwest at daybreak. Pickets eventually spotted the approaching enemy, and gunfire erupted. The Patriots retreated into the house for cover. The Loyalists surrounded the home, and gunfire continued from both sides for the next 3 hours, riddling the home with holes and splintered wood. Mrs. Alston apparently had had her fill about midday, because it was her who marched out and surrendered her home to Fanning, thus ending the fight. While the Patriots may have lost the battle, they eventually won the war 2 years later, when the British surrendered in Yorktown, Virginia. After the war, Alston went on to serve as a Justice of the Peace and a state senator. However, it seems he was a man of dubious reputation at best. He was indicted for murder 2 times. He was ousted from his position as Justice of the Peace. He also managed to get himself suspended from the state legislature. Perhaps looking for a fresh start, in 1790, Alston sold the property and left the state. We're on the home's front porch. There are plenty of bullet holes to help remind one of that fateful day so many years ago. We're waiting for a guide to arrive so we can go inside. Walking through the front door, we enter the main hall, which carries through to the back of the home. To the left is what's called the South Parlor, which is set up more as a bedroom, Mr. and Mrs. Alston's bedroom. We're told it's painted in the original colors. Another bullet hole. Oh wow, I can see outside. Here's a few more. Across the hall is the home's north parlor. That's a painting of Governor Benjamin Williams. Williams owned the plantation from 1798 until he died in 1814. Sadly, the upstairs is closed today, so no tour up there. But I did manage to find some photos of the upper floor, which I can share. There's the house well. Out behind the home is a cemetery, which contains the grave of Governor Benjamin Williams, his wife, Elizabeth, and over to the left, the grave of his son, also named Benjamin, and his son's wife, Mary. Back in the 1770s, when Alston bought the land, it looked nothing like what you see today. It was heavily forested. Over time, the forests were cleared, exposing the rich bottomland one now sees surrounding the house. The farm flourished when owned by Governor Williams. He began growing cotton, and with the help of around 100 slaves. For a time, he was one of the largest growers in the state. As for the house itself, it was considered a fine example of Georgian architecture and was the first frame home built in the region, almost certainly constructed from timber harvested from the property. After Benjamin Williams died in 1814, his family and descendants remained here until 1853. It would be another 100 years and several sets of owners before the house ended up in the hands of the Moore County Historical Society in 1954. Today, it is a state of North Carolina official historic site and an absolute gem of North Carolina as well as American Revolutionary War history. I hope you enjoyed that explore of the house on the Horseshoe as much as I did bringing it to you. Remember, life is a journey. Enjoy the ride, and thanks for watching.